What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the 2017 Mummy movie that was supposed to spawn this brand new shared universe, only for it to be DOA. Now, there was an idea to bring all these classic monsters into one cinematic universe, like the Invincible Man, the Wolf Man, Frankenstein, Dracula, and the Mummy. They even had some big names attached to the cinematic universe, where you had Frankenstein played by Javier Bardem, Johnny Depp as the Invincible Man, but they even had this group photo with everybody who was going to be part of the cinematic universe, and the one that was supposed to lead this off in order for everybody to get on board was none other than Tom Cruise. The Mummy came out in 2017, and at this point, everybody was trying to start their own cinematic universe. You even had Saban wanting to have 18 different Power Rangers, and that was a bad idea from the start because they didn't even know exactly how the first movie was going to do, and that's kind of the same mentality that Universal went into when they were creating this dark universe. They were trying to play catch up with not only just the MCU, but at this time, you also had the Conjuring universe that was already spawned when the first Conjuring came out, plus you also had spin-offs like Annabelle, and you had the Conjuring 2 had already came out. Plus later that year you also had Annabelle Creation, which was a prequel to the prequel to the prequel. So many prequels. And when The Mummy came out, I didn't check this movie out initially because the reviews for this movie kind of disappointed me. I was really excited when they first announced this Mummy movie. It was going to be a new take on the Mummy story that we've seen a couple of times. We had been done with the Brendan Fraser movies for a couple of years, and seeing them have a new take on this Mummy character, I was really excited, especially since you have Sofia Boutella playing the Mummy, which probably ruffled a lot of feathers, but it didn't really matter to me because I really enjoyed Sofia Boutella in the Kingsman movie, which was a huge surprise. So seeing what she was going to be able to do with the Mummy character, that really got me excited. Then the reviews dropped, and at this point it has a 15% on Rotten Tomatoes, which was a little bit lower than I thought. I thought it was probably in the mid 30s, early 30s, somewhere around that point. But this movie didn't really do all that well with box office, critics, and audiences. And honestly, I don't think this movie is as bad as people make it out to be. Sure, there are a lot of handful of decisions that are really awkward and don't really make a lot of sense. And a lot of that has to do with the 1,600 writers that they had on this movie. This movie just feels like a collage of ideas that nobody really knew exactly what to do with them. Tom Cruise plays Army Sergeant Nick Morton, who is a soldier of fortune, and his big motto is,
"Come on, my friend. Where's your sense of adventure?"
he wakes up the tomb of a princess that was entrapped in this tomb, and now we have a adventure of misfortunes. Now, there are some things that I enjoyed about this movie. For starters, I think whenever Tom Cruise is attached to a project, whether or not the project turns out to be really good or really bad, he always commits 100%, and I really enjoy every single time that he is on screen. The banter that he has with Jake Johnson, I really didn't buy it, and a lot of that has to do not only just with the direction and the writing, but a lot of the humor in this movie felt like it was forced and like they really didn't know exactly which direction to take this movie in. And I feel like that's the direction that Universal was taking with this whole dark universe. They didn't really know exactly what to do besides strip all the horror elements out of these classic monsters and pretty much turn them into superheroes. You also have Russell Crowe, who plays Dr. Jekyll slash Mr. Hyde, but he is only Dr. Jekyll in this movie. And I really enjoy his presence, even though he is there just to be expedition dump and just push the narrative forward. But he brings something in here that I thought was missing. I think he does the best with the 15 seconds that he has on screen, and if anything, I would have been really interested to see the direction that they were going to be taking his Dr. Jekyll, because I think you could have done something really interesting, but yet they weren't able to do something very interesting with the Mummy. So what do I know? They do try to infuse some horror elements here and there, but even that kind of feels a little bit spluttered, and they kind of felt like they were forced to put something in here to make it still have those horror elements, even though they were going to take a lot of those elements out. And I think the fact that we have The Invincible Man directed by Lee Winnell as a proof that you don't really need to take the horror out of these classic monsters, because you can do a lot with them. They just didn't really know exactly what direction they were going in. That's where a lot of my positive ends, because going forward there is going to be a laundry list of issues that I have with this movie. And starting off the laundry list of negatives, one of the things that really stuck out to me as a sore thumb is the relationship between Tom Cruise and Annabelle Wallis, who was in 2014's Annabelle. Her chemistry with Tom Cruise is pretty much non existent. I didn't like the banter between these two, and they are trying to make this work as best as possible, but the direction that they are given just flatlines immediately. You really don't get a sense of who these two characters are together. There is a bit of a sense that they hooked up, and that's exactly the only thing that you really know about these two characters and their relationship. And I just never really bought those two together. I never bought their banter, I never bought the chemistry between these two, and also just the story just feels like it's trying to set up the shared universe without making it one cohesive story. And you can definitely tell with the laundry list of writers that they had attached to this project, it does feel like everybody had a billion different ideas and they just wanted to just combine it into one. And that's kind of what Paramount wanted to do with their next G.I. Joe movie, where you had, I think it was Danny McBride and Max Landis coming together as two different creators trying to make one G.I. Joe movies with two different ideas and then mishing them off together. It wouldn't have worked for that movie, and it definitely does not work for the Mummy, because it just feel the story is just all over the place. You don't really get a sense of direction of where they want to go and what they want to do. A lot of the exposition dump in this movie is just painfully forced, and probably my biggest disappointment with this movie is Sofia Boutella as the Mummy, because even though I think she is an inspired casting and I think there's a lot that you could have done with this character, they just decide not to do anything with this character. You get a little bit of a backstory in the beginning of the film, who she is and what she was trying to do. She's missing for a majority of the movie, and then she comes back just to be tied up by Dr. Jekyll so that we can get a bit of an exposition of who this character is and what her motivations are, or what the motivations of Dr. Jekyll and his crew are. And she's just completely, utterly underused. You could have done some more things with this character that they just decided not to, and by the end of the movie you really don't get to see a lot of mummy action. There are some horror elements in this movie that I do appreciate them infusing, but overall it just doesn't feel like they were trying to do all that. These characters, I think you can do something creative and do something new if you don't take out the horror elements or and add superhero elements to them. Because I get what they were trying to go for with this movie and with the cinematic universe, it just never really worked. It can be fun at times. There are some fun elements here and there. There's just really nothing that gravitates to me in a way where it kind of can teeter that line between guilty pleasure fun and so bad it's so good. It's just neither of them. It's just fun for background noise, and I think that's enough that you can get out of this movie. But overall, the 2017 movie that was supposed to spawn this brand new shared universe has some fun elements, especially in the first act, where there is some fun here and there. Some of the action sequences are fun to see on screen, but once we get into the Mummy side and the spawning of this shared cinematic universe, it just never really fully commits to having a lot more fun than it should have. It could have been really interesting. They just really didn't do much with it. But those are my thoughts on the 2017 Mummy movie. Is this a movie that you really enjoy, or is this just one that disappointed you as much as it disappointed me? Drop those thoughts in the comments below. We'll catch you guys for the next video.